Welcome to Your Life Matters podcast. Please be advised that many topics are very sensitive and may be triggering for you. Many discussions will be about suicide, trauma, mental health, and depression. If an episode is too triggering for you, please do the necessary steps in regard to listening to the episode. If you or know anyone struggling with mental health, suicide ideation, suicidal thoughts, and depression, please seek professional help or reach out to a crisis hotline or confide in someone that you trust. I hope my podcast helps you, but most of all, I hope it provides the safe space that you are looking for. Please know that you are not alone and there is someone out here who is happy to have you in their life. So please stay alive for them. And also remember that your life matters. I love you and thank you for joining my podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Your Life Matters, and today I have a very special guest. Not only one of my good friends, but this is also like a college reunion, and I have not seen this person in over 10 years. 15.
15 years.
Over 15 years. So this interview is definitely very special. And I definitely feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to his story. And Cody, I'm going to hand it over to you so you can start whenever you are ready.
Yeah, so, like you said, it's been 15 years. A lot has changed in the 15 years that we've been apart, especially you and me both. I mean, we've been married and went through some stuff in my life, and it's been good being able to come here and catch up with you, and that's what I'm the most excited for, is just being able to sit down and just kind of catch up and see what we can undiscover with me.
Yes.
So, as you know, I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm just a hardworking person. It's all I seem like I ever get done, but it's nice to kind of break away from the normal life and just kind of enjoy, company of friends. Something you miss, especially after COVID happened and everything. It's a little bit harder to get together now. People are a little more spread out or a little more subdued about getting together, but everything's gonna get better with that hopefully in the near future. Now that you're back around.
Yes, I'm back in the DMV, so more meetups, more get-togethers.
Yes. So I mean, I know you talk a lot of this is mental health. I suffer from anxiety. I have depression. I have PTSD from a recent trauma from some medical issues with COVID, and that stem from COVID. I've suffered from suicidal thoughts from that as well at certain times, but it's my journey is a little different than most people, but it's kind of odd because I have so many different traumas that have happened within my life that people can relate to me, that it can be completely relatable, but yet completely different from someone else's story. So, you were there when, getting my heart broken, when I was young and dumb and in love in college, and, I've self-medicated with alcohol and other things at that time, and just to be able to look back on it now and kind of see where my life is compared to where it was 15, 16 years ago, it's a complete 180. I mean, I drink, but I don't partake like I used to. I mean, I used to get a little wild, as you and I have discussed, and it's finding the necessary help that I had to find, whether it's building my support system through my mother and my wife and, our mutual friend EJ, or our friends Randy. A lot of my mutual friends from college are my support system, and that's just the way that it's kind of grown. They've been there for me, whether I was doing great or, I was hurting or scared or just not able to figure out life. So it's been punishing, to say the least. The last several years have been better. My wife has been the big change in that. She's like I tell you every time I talk to you, my wife's an amazing person. She's a great thing. She's a great person. She's my rock. She's the reason I am the way I am today and where I am today. And I feel like she'd say the same for her. At least I hope she would. But it's we've been through our scares and through our heartbreak with each other, and um, I wouldn't want to do it with anybody else. She's amazing. If I'd had her in my life for the first 30 years, my life would have been a whole lot better. But uh,
Where do you think your life would have been if you hadn't met your wife right now? If you hadn't met Chelsea,
so
do you think the healing process would have been difficult, or how important do you think?
she's the most vital part of me being where I'm at. I've always had the ability to talk to people and do the things that I do in the way that I am. Like you know, I'll give you the shirt off my back if I have to help you. But my wife has been the most vital portion of that for me to kind of extend that out to other people. Um, so yeah, I mean, my wife is the most bubbly, outgoing personality that I think I've run into since you. I mean, you guys are very similar personality wise. You guys, love 110%. You'll talk to anybody. She's just very bubbly personality. She just cares whether she's known you for a week, a day, an hour. Spend 2 hours with my wife, you'll know her whole life story in 2 hours. Just the way she is. She's an open book. But she's been. If it wasn't for her, I don't think my. I don't think my. I think my alcohol issues would have been a whole lot worse. Um, my grandmother had passed away about a month before my wife and I got together, and when she kind of came into my life, I was still at that point where I was self-medicating with alcohol. I was drinking a lot. I was spending almost $300 a week in alcohol for myself. Um, and she kind of came in, and it continued for like a week, and then she kind of subdued that a little bit, and then as her and I kind of grew together, because she's a couple years younger than me. I mean, she's gonna be 30 this year. She's 6 years younger than me. I'll be 36 this year, and she came to my life and she grew a lot personality wise. I mean, we had a hard time at first being together because of some past exes issues and things like that, but also I was working 6 days a week. She was working 3 jobs at the time just to make ends meet. So the time we had together was spent just enjoying each other's company and enjoying each other. She's one of the reasons that I'm able to be where I'm at now and be able to use this as a platform. She is a little more emotional about the things that I went through than what I am. I mean, I get emotional talking about her and Johnny and my grandmother, my dad, the things like that I get emotional about, but I'm able to talk about it because I can talk to her about it. Now, in the same aspect, we had a little bit of an argument last week. She told me I don't talk to her about things. But the things that I don't talk to her about is what's bothering me right now, because I try to keep my stress to myself because of some issues she's going through with family. So I try to keep things to myself so it doesn't overwhelm her. She's very easily overwhelmed with things like that and emotions and stuff like that, where, if I get emotional, I can keep talking about it and it doesn't, it makes me feel better. For her, if I get emotional, she gets emotional. So we don't even have to have a conversation about anything, and she's just going to be like, oh crap, well now I'm going to cry. She cries for no reason. So she's a very delicate person when it comes to that, and that's one of my favorite traits about her, is just, like I said, you can know her for 5 minutes and you tell her something about, somebody hurting you or something like that, and her past traumas are there as well. and she will sit there and cry with you for the next hour if you want. It's just, she's an amazing person, but I tell her this all the time, she saved my life more than once. Whether it was when I had gotten COVID in 2021, basically, I was sick for a couple of days. She made me go to the hospital. We found out I had COVID and double pneumonia. Kind of was her choice for me to go to the hospital. I did not want to go, but if I wouldn't have, they told me I would have passed away within 48 hours. So saved my life there. Saved my life with alcohol. Still like to drink, but it's more of a fun time now than I need to forget about what's going on in my lifetime. So, but eventually here, we've got a lot going on, whether it's, starting IVF treatments for, us to have kids, things like that. I mean, I do my best to support her 110%. I will support her any way possible. She's the same way with everything that we've ever done. She's just, like I said, she's the most caring person that I've ever run into.
And I'm so happy for you because, I've seen what you have been through. So the fact that you finally have someone that cares about you, shows you the love that you deserve, and to see you this happy is one of the best feelings ever. So I haven't met her yet, but I'm going to real soon.
Yes,
I hope.
very, very, very soon. You said I want to get everybody together. My closest friends, my best friends from college, everybody. I want everybody to get together and just come to my house. I don't care. We have enough room. Everybody can stay if they want to. If we want to, party till 2 a.m. in the backyard, play.
Just like Allegheny days.
Kind of just like Allegheny days, but of age this time. Yes. I was not, But, we had a good time. I mean, it was fun. Allegheny, had its good and bad.
It did.
It did. It helped me build the friendships and relationships that I have now, but it also broke me down to the point where I didn't want to be there. Most of that was self-inflicted. A lot of my trauma has been self-inflicted. Just because, I tried to self-medicate, which does not work by any means, ever. It just masks it, it makes it worse, because then you feel like crap mentally and physically and emotionally. So it just adds an extra stem to that. It also, alcohol at college, which you have seen, it also brought out the worst side of me a couple times. And
yes.
I had my reasons for being upset at college when I was drinking, but I didn't understand it at that point in time, what it physically and mentally was doing to me. So
what do you feel like was the trigger though?
For the alcohol at college?
Yes.
So when I was 12, my dad passed away. My dad and I were not close, so I never really had that fatherly figure in my life. It was always my grandmother and my mother, which they did an amazing job raising me, and I loved both of them. My grandmother since passed, but at college I had a lot of anger towards my dad. And I was finding things out at college, like similarities between me and my dad that I never knew. My favorite song is his favorite song, and I never knew that. My favorite alcoholic drink is his favorite alcoholic drink.
Wow.
I never knew that. And that was when the comparisons, when people knew me and my dad, started to come out, because people were like, well, you're just like your father. You act just like your father. You know, all this. And I'm like, I don't want to be like my dad, because my dad didn't really ever have anything to do with my life growing up. And when he did come into it, it was usually my birthday or Christmas. I'd see him for maybe an hour, and he lived less than 3 miles from my house. So there was always that anger towards him of, why couldn't you do more? But at the same time, when he did more and I played baseball or sports and he would come to watch me play, I'd play terrible because I was so nervous, because I felt like I wasn't, for the longest time, I felt like I wasn't good enough for my dad. That's why he didn't want to come see me and things like that. That's where a lot of my anger. I mean, I've had to take anger management because of things. I've had to, I had to take alcohol courses at Allegheny because I got in trouble. But that's where a lot of that stemmed, because of my anger towards him. It helped me mask it. Because I always wanted to be better than him. I was always looking to try to find a way to make myself better, to have that approval. Like, in the back of my mind, everything that I did until I was like 24, 25 was just like, I wonder if my dad would be proud of me for doing this or that. And it's like, when I turned 24 and 25, and I started to like change my mindset a little bit, and now I'm like, well, I don't care if he would have liked it or not, because, or if he'd be proud of me or not, because at the same time, he didn't even know what I was doing at 12 and 13. I don't know if he was proud of me if I was getting straight A's or if I was failing or what was going on. He never was there to step in to do that. So my aspects changed as I got older, where I was just like, my grandmother's proud of me, my mother's proud of me, and I'm proud of myself. And that was the big turning point where I knew that I needed to make changes, whether, especially with my drinking and stuff like that, but I needed to make changes with a lot of different things in life.
I feel like it's also too, when you don't have a biological parent, it's like you put all this pressure and then you're fighting with your brain what that's telling you, and then having to fight against the pressure of fighting that off and making sure you don't follow the same footsteps.
Yeah, it makes it worse, because you always want to because you always strive to have that approval.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're also wanting to strive to do better, because you want to be better than the person that hurt you before. Like,
and carrying that weight on you, after a certain point, it takes a mental toll. And I think it takes a lot of strength and self-control to actually realize that. A lot of people, I feel like, don't understand like what the brain can really do to you. And once you realize how much control it has and you're willing to break free from that, that's everything.
Yeah, it's crazy, because your brain can control everything under the sun. I mean, it can cause you, depression and anxiety are chemical imbalances that are caused by the brain most of the time. And it can literally change the way everything in your body functions and the way your life runs. And if you don't find a way to help subdue and control it, it takes over. And if it takes over, that's what leads to, suicide and suicidal tendencies and thoughts. And, I've had those. There was times where I gave up. I didn't want to fight with it anymore. Like, it's just like, get out of my damn head. Mm-hmm. But, eventually things change, and it does. It's hard, and you're always striving for that approval, and it wears you down physically. It wears you down too, mentally and physically and emotionally, because you may never get that approval is how you feel. But the only thing that matters, and the only approval that matters, is your approval. Like, if you're happy and you're satisfied with yourself, that's kind of where you have to understand and be at that point, just to make yourself start to heal a little bit from that. I guess it's a hard concept, and I feel like it's really overlooked in life now, because there are so many people that I know that were raised with one parent and a grandparent, or raised by their grandparents, or like you, who's an adoptee. Those things that you're looking for, there's something missing that the normal someone who's raised, I shouldn't say normal, but someone who's raised by two parents.
Yeah, it's
in a household difference. It's a whole different aspect. I mean, I didn't have a dad to play baseball with me in the yard. I didn't have that kind of stuff. My mom couldn't do it because she was working all the time to try to make ends meet. My grandmother did everything that my dad should have done. She made sure I made it to baseball practice. She made sure I made it to soccer practice, to everything. She was her and my mother were my support system all through school, through high school. And it was awesome. I mean, it was just a different aspect though.
Did you have like any other type of male figures in your life, or?
So my uncle and my cousin at the time tried to step in. I rebelled with them a little bit because, oh, let's face it, I love them. I love my uncle to death. My cousin and I no longer speak. But my uncle, I love to death. And let's face it, he's an asshole. And that's what he is. His personality type and everything, that's what he is. He's very old school. He's very, you do it my way or no way. And I was not okay with that at the time. And now that I'm older, I understand it and I see it. And, we've come to, realize that, I'm not going to deal with it. But he did. He tried to teach me, he tried to teach me ride a bike, play baseball. If I was shooting basketball, the basketball hoop between my house and my grandmother's house, my grandmother's house and his house, he would come down and play basketball with me, or he would try to get me involved to like go cut wood or work on cars. And I didn't have any interest in a lot of that until I was a little bit older, because cars are what I saw that as a link to my dad, because my dad was a mechanic. He worked on cars. He built dirt track motors for cars and things like that. So wanting to work on cars is something I always wanted to do, but it always made me feel more like my father and made me want more of that approval. So by cutting that out when I was younger, it didn't bother me as much.
I think what it is too, when you have someone who's trying to play that role, people don't understand that, like, yes, they're coming in to play that role, but the connection's not going to be there regardless, because it's not the biological type of connection.
There's a heredity connection.
Yes.
And
yes.
They can step in and you can, like, I wanted to do the Big Brother program when I was younger. But it doesn't matter what you do, you're not a big brother to that person.
Exactly.
You're just a mentor.
Exactly.
And that's the difference, is people are striving to find a father figure or a mother figure or, all that kind of stuff. But that heredity connection isn't there, and it's not the same. And it can help. It might be 60% of what you're looking for. It may make you feel better. That's great. That's a great aspect of life to have if you have a mentor like that. But at the same time, you're still missing a portion of it, whether it's the love, the affection, the approval. You're not getting that from that same person.
Exactly.
And same goes for like stepfathers and things like that. I have the utmost respect for quite a few of my friends who have stepped in and married females, or some of my female friends who have married males that have kids to other people, and they're the best step parent out there. They understand at the same time though that it's a hard transition, because you're not their biological parent. They don't have that connection to you. They look at you like a stepmother, but you're never going to be their full-blown mother or father. And that's the aspect where things are different. People don't understand that without living through it. My mom never dated until I was in college. So she dated, but she never brought them around me until I was in college, and I was old enough to, she felt like I wasn't old enough to understand at 16 years old, because I had known nothing but her and my grandmother. Needless to say, I did understand it though, but it's, now I want nothing more than my mother to be happy, and, these other people in my life that have been mentors to me to be happy. But it's a rough aspect, especially family. I've learned in the recent years that everybody says blood is thicker than water, and it's not true whatsoever, because I've got friends.
I agree, it's not true.
yeah. I mean, I've got friends that I would die for, and I've got family that if they were on fire and I had a bottle of water, I wouldn't even pour it on them to help, just because they burnt me to the point where I can't stand it. You're more. I get more betrayed by family than friends. So it's just like, it's kind of a really shitty situation. Like, it's just, and I feel like that's a lot of people's traumas anymore. Is family based, because you can bounce back. I mean, if you have a car accident and you get back behind the wheel and you drive again and you feel better, you feel okay. Yeah, you still have angst and things like that, and you have anxiety about it, but you can move forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
When a family member hurts you, it's so hard to get over that and move forward because that's your flesh and your blood.
It's not supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I will say too, it's like with us like reuniting and just kind of seeing how much has changed since college, it kind of goes back to how I just noticed it's like something about our 30s. Everything just comes out. Everything just changes. Everything just, like, yes, we battled stuff in college, but it's like, I feel like when you hit 30, that's when like the childhood trauma comes out. And then
I also feel like, and to that point, I feel like once I turned 30, I was able to handle my mental stability a little better. My anger, things like that kind of subdued when I turned 30 because I say it all the time. I'm not 18 anymore. I have to tell myself, you're not 18 anymore. Why are you getting mad about something that won't matter tomorrow? Why are you getting upset about something that won't matter tomorrow? I still get mad and upset about it, but it's not, I don't react the way that I used to. I'm a little more subdued when it comes to things like that. And, we had that conversation a little bit ago that, my personality in my life is so much more subdued because of things that I've been through and the people that I surround myself with now, that my life is improved because of that. If I was still 18, same person that you first met at college, if I was still that person at 35, I'd be scared to death. I'd be scared to death of myself. I'd be scared for other people. And I would be scared for my own life because the 18-year-old me was reckless. I made mistakes because I didn't feel there were repercussions. I'm 35 and I'm dealing with those repercussions now. I mean, my drinking has caused health issues within me. It's caused mental issues within me. It's caused a lot of issues between me and my friends and my family. So there's a lot of that, that's the ability there. So changing that kind of stuff now is the difference. Being 30 and 35, the last 5 years of my life, I've been through a major trauma. I've been married. I think the day of standing at the altar and marrying my wife was a big changing point because it's like, oh shit, now I'm responsible for her too. And she's responsible for me. So I got to do what I have to do to be better for myself and her. When something like that happens and you have the right mentality and attitude about it, it can change your life for the best. My wife, like I said, is my better half. I'm always the backbone. If we're out somewhere and someone's disrespectful to my wife, I have no problem getting in their face and telling them about it. At the same time,
as you should. With COVID, what exactly happened? Do you know how you got it, or like what?
We kind of have an idea. I was in 2020. My work shut down. They continued to pay us, took care of us the whole time. We were shut down for 3 months. I just kind of enjoyed life at home by myself, my wife, my mom. Just enjoying everything and kind of just enjoying being left alone. I've worked in retail for 15 years, so I've seen the best and the worst of it. But at that point, I needed that 3-month break. It helped. But I went back to work and didn't have any issues. 2020 into the beginning of 2021, there were no problems. November 15th of 2015, I ended up getting really sick. Or I was sick for a couple of days before. I was sick in my stomach and I would eat and I would throw up. And I thought I had the flu. So after I didn't eat for about 3 days, I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to go to the hospital. So we went. They asked us if we had done a COVID test. And I said, no, I don't have any symptoms of COVID. They said, well, we have to run one. At that point in time, it was mandatory. So they ran a COVID test and I tested positive. They told me I had COVID and double pneumonia. And the double pneumonia portion of it was what was causing me to throw up. I said, I don't understand. They said, well, when you eat, when your stomach expands and contracts, it actually puts pressure on your lungs. And I had so much fluid in my lungs that it was causing me to cough and puke everything back up. I was throwing up. So they told me that I was going to be in the hospital for a couple of days, no big deal, this and that, no problems. We're pretty sure we got it. My wife at the time was a apartment complex manager, and we're pretty sure that one of her tenants had it, and she had gotten it and didn't know. Because my mom had tested positive for it, the same as I did. My mom's boyfriend tested positive, and Chelsea tested positive.
Oh, wow.
All with no symptoms. None of them were sick at all. They all tested positive for the Omicron strand.
Okay.
I tested positive for the Delta strand.
Okay.
So whenever we were at the hospital, I was in there, they put different breathing masks on me, and I just progressively got worse and worse. Finally, that was on the 15th of November when I went to the hospital. On the 18th, they told me that they were going to transfer me to a bigger medical center that had better stuff to take care of me. So about 10 o'clock at night, they transported me, and in the transport, I stopped breathing, and my heart stopped. And they had to bring me back. And then when I remember getting to the hospital, and I remember them unloading me, and then I blacked out again, and my heart stopped, and I stopped breathing again, and they had to bring me back again. So the next morning, the nurses were talking to me and the doctors and told me that I needed to be put on a ventilator or I wasn't going to make it through the day because it was so bad. And I told them no, I did not want on it. We had just had a friend of our family pass away on a ventilator from COVID, and I didn't want on it. So they ended up FaceTiming my mom and my wife from my phone, and they were in quarantine at the time. And they convinced me to go on the ventilator, and I remember telling them that I love them, and that's the last thing I remember. They put me out immediately. They were standing there with the needle in my IV to push the drugs in to put me to sleep so they can get me on it. I was down to like precious hours of making it.
Wow.
So, then, that was on November the 19th, they put me on the ventilator. On December 5th is when I woke up. They brought me out of my medically induced stuff and all that. And the nurse looked at me and she goes, "Do you know your name?" And I told her my birthday. I told her. She's like, "Do you know where you are?" And I said, "I'm in the morgue." She goes, "Why do you think you're in the morgue?" I said, "I died." I said, "I'm dead." I said, I'm not alive anymore." She's like, "No." She goes, "Sweetheart, you're alive." She goes, "You're very much alive." She goes, "I promise." So, at like 4 a.m, they brought me out of that at like 2. I asked for my phone. They gave it to me, and at like 4 a.m, I'm FaceTiming my wife, scaring the crap out of her because I'm sitting there wanting to see her, to let her know, because she didn't even know I was off the ventilator yet.
Oh, wow.
So they did it in the middle of the night. They were going to update her in the morning, but I called them at like 4 a.m. to wake them up to let them know. So, because I had no time, I didn't know sense of what time of day it was. They had my blinds closed. My room was dark all the time just to keep me calm, because I was having hallucinations and things like that. And when I got out off of that, that was when the hard part really came. I mean, I went through withdrawals for drugs because they had me on fentanyl for 10 days while I was on the ventilator. So I had to go through fentanyl withdrawal. I went through withdrawal from tramadol, Ativan. I was going through complete medical withdrawal for a couple of days. And then when I got to go home, it was amazing. It was the best feeling ever because they've been doing physical therapy with me in the hospital, and the doctor came in on December the 11th. And I looked at him and I said, "Look," I said, "I need to get out of here because I feel like I'm never going home. I feel like you're never going to let me go home." He's like, "You have to get up and you have to walk down to the nurse's station and back before I can send you home." I was like, "Well, I was up and walked across my room." I said, "It can't be that far." So physical therapy came down. They got me up. I walked out the door and I looked to my right, and I'm the very last room of the hallway, and the nurse's station is the hallway at the other end. And I walked the entire way and back, and I stopped and I waved at the doctor at the nurse's station. Walked back and he goes, "Does anybody, you have somebody who can come get you?" I said, "My wife will be more than happy to come get me right now." He goes, all right. He goes, we'll get your papers together and you can go home today. So I called my wife, and everybody was my wife and my mom, and everybody came to get me out of the hospital and break me out of there. And it was the best feeling ever. Mm-hmm. And just being home after that was great. I mean, I couldn't do steps. So I was down. We lived in a split level house. So I was downstairs a lot by myself. I just sat and watched. It's weird now. I watched every single episode in order of Family Matters, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, mm-hmm. Boy Meets World. Like I was reliving my childhood a little bit, but and just some of the episodes of that would just kind of reminded me of how great certain things are in my life. Like the episode of Will like Will's dad, you know, the most emotional episode you'll ever see of that, you know. Just some of those, it was like eye-opening, and it made me realize that I need to enjoy life a little more than what I do. You know, at that time I was working every minute that I could because I wanted money. Money was the root of happiness to me at that point in time, and now money is the root of evil because it's what makes or breaks everything in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people that don't have $2 in their bank account right now that are the happiest people on earth. And I know people that have thousands of dollars in their bank account and are miserable.
Yeah.
You really have to change your lifestyle and the way you look at things. But COVID and things like that changed me. I mean, after that, I was previously diagnosed with depression. Mm-hmm. Now I have anxiety, I have depression, and I was diagnosed with PTSD. I also get night terrors and the hallucinations I have. I still have hallucinations of the exact same thing of when I was in the hospital. I still have hallucinations about it. So it's kind of living life with that.
I know we talk about having like a reunion all the time. As far as like friends and a support system, besides your mom and Chelsea, who else was there for you? Or did you have to battle with, you know, people checking on you or like people being there for you? Or did that even really matter?
So it was really weird because about a month after I was out of the hospital, I had only talked to 2 of my friends because my friends were messaging Chelsea to see how I was because they didn't want to bother me, because they felt like I needed to rest and relax and they didn't want to get involved or interfere. This is like we talked earlier, Davon checked on me, EJ, Randy, you know, those are the big 3 from college that checked on me. My best friend Kevin checked on me every day for like 4 months. He texted me every single day until I actually was feeling up enough to go see him. Because we didn't want anybody at our house in case anybody brought something in. Yeah. Because even to the day, if I get a cold, I'm down for like a week.
Oh, wow.
Like a small cold. My immune system is so weak at this point. It's gotten better. I had a sinus infection at the end of 2022 that I thought was killing me. Like I really thought that I had COVID again, and I was scared to death. But it ended up just being a sinus infection, but it affected me in the way that COVID did. But no, my best friends, you know, Randy, Kevin, EJ, Davon, those 4 have been awesome. You know, they've been great support systems. I've talked to them about things, pretty much anything and everything we can talk about, you know. Kind of like me and you, but we just sat here, you know, caught up a little bit, and it felt like we were back at college, sitting in my off-campus house. You know, you were drinking, and I still have the picture on my phone of me, you, E, and Tasha.
Yes, I remember.
And Johnny in my campus. I have it on my phone. I do, and I have another picture.
Is it with the Smirnoff bottle?
Yes. Yes. And I have another picture of me and you from another party at my 20th birthday when I'm not.
I feel like you have like the best pictures.
I'm not totally aware of when we took that picture, but you were sober. I do know that. You were. I was far from it. But I don't know if it was before or after I got the black eye that night. Because if you remember
It's before.
Yeah.
Before.
It had to be. Yeah. Because I remember campus security being called like 3 times.
Yes.
And me pretending to sleep in the living room floor.
And I would freak out. I'd be like, Cody, where can I hide
You just go back in my room. Just, I had like 15 people hiding in my bedroom.
it? Yeah.
But no, I mean, you guys have been amazing. And like we said, we don't talk as much as what we would like. And we both have to get better at reaching out.
Yes.
And that's just the way I feel like COVID really made people that way.
Yeah.
You spend so much
reality
time.
check for everybody.
Well, yeah, but you spend so much time by yourself that it became, and I hate to use the phrase, the
Immune.
new normal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the new thing. Like, I love, and it's really weird to sound because I work with the public. I'm a people person. I love people to an extent.
Yeah.
I love my time away from myself.
Yeah.
I want to be away by myself. Whether it's in a car, just going for a ride with music and the windows down, or like coming down here today, like I just put the music on, put the windows down, and I just drove. And it's like we had that conversation of what I do to kind of kill the anxiety. That's one. Tattoos is another. I love my tattoos. And my tattoo artist has actually asked me, when he was doing the tattoo on my chest, he literally looked at me when I didn't move after he tattooed for like 45 minutes to an hour, and I had not moved. I was just talking to him.
Oh, wow.
Like I didn't flinch, nothing. He's like, so who hurt you in life? And I just looked at him. I was like, everybody. Like I feel like everybody's hurt each other, even if it's subconsciously. Like it could hurt. I mean, it may have hurt your feelings that I didn't reach out to you during COVID, or vice versa. I mean, it didn't. You know, we've never had any beef with each other or anything like that. I mean, I taught you how to cook some stuff. You know, we destroyed my dorm room. You know, we had some good times. I don't feel like we were talking. I don't think anybody ever had an issue with Johnny, really, other than a couple people. Like, the people we surrounded ourselves with were the most laid back, kind-hearted people. And I think that's what the difference was, is when I got home from COVID, those people were still there. The people that were not like them were the people I needed to get rid of in life, and they're gone now. Okay. So they don't bother me. They don't talk to me. I don't bother them. I don't want anything to do with them. But like my friend Jason, we've known each other because of going out and doing car meets and things like that. He's become one of my best friends. And really, that's the best thing that came from me having COVID, is my relationship with other people that are now part of my support system. I mean, Jason suffers from mental health issues as well. He's got 4 kids and a daughter, and he's a great guy. His family's great. I love all of them. But he himself struggles with feeling like he's never doing enough, and feeling like he's got depression and anxiety anyway, but he feels like he's never doing enough to do what his family needs. But he's incorrect in that. He does more than enough. It's
Do
just
you
a feeling.
feel like with friends that are kind of going through similar situations like you are going through, do you guys like come together to talk about it and to like kind of vent about it, or do you just check on each other and then keep it moving?
It's really weird, because with EJ or Davon, it's kind of a check and go thing.
Check and go.
Because of the distance. It's a check and go thing. I'll post something on Snapchat and Davon will reply to me, or he'll see something on Facebook and reply to me. EJ, I'll send him a text and I'll be like, hey man, just checking in, haven't heard from you in a week or 2. Just want to know how you're doing. And he'll reply and we'll have a conversation for about 40 minutes and that's it. Kevin and I can sit down and have the best conversation in the world, because, you know, he's dealt with addiction as well and past traumas, and we can relate in that issue. so we can give each other advice and be each other's support systems there. Randy's just a good person. You know, Randy is a great friend and a great person, and he has been, when I had COVID and all that, you know, Chelsea made sure to keep Randy in the loop of what was going on because Randy was concerned. And she said out of everybody, he showed the most concern, which is odd because I'd only met Randy twice in person up until that point. I didn't live with him like I did EJ, practically live with Dave on. I mean, he was always at our dorm anyway. You know, I lived with Kevin for a year. Kevin and I have been best friends now for 34 years, 35 years. And it's just, it's amazing how easy it is to check on people and to have that conversation now. Because like with Jason and I, we're newly getting acquainted to that kind of friendship with each other. But he would text me every other day. Hey man, just want to check on you, see how you're doing. How you feeling today? Good. We weren't even close at the time. I had talked to him maybe 3 times. Then when we started to become better friends, now I noticed myself checking on him. I text him, hey, what's going on, man? Or I'll see something posted on Facebook. Hey, what's going on? Let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. I'll be down in 10 minutes. Let's figure this out. You know.
Do you feel like age has a lot to do with it, or because of like we're older and we're kind of at an age where we're experiencing childhood trauma and realizing certain things are, and just in life in general right now, I feel like after 30 it becomes way more stressful.
It does.
So
you've got more pressure on you.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody says, you know, college was stressful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
No.
College was stressful for the fact that, you know, I had my heart broken.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What am I doing?
I failed an exam.
I failed an exam.
I missed the class.
I show up to class and they're like, Mr. Shaw, you haven't been here in a week. Okay, sorry. I don't need to be here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be here. The stresses the stresses that you feel in your early 20s, I feel are expected.
Yeah.
They're self-inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
They're things that you do to create a stressful life. Once you hit 30, you're in panic mode. I've got bills. Why did I want to grow up?
Yeah.
This sucks.
Yeah.
And I remember I've told my mom a couple times, I'm like, I did not ask you to bring me into this world. I'm going to need you to pay some of my bills. It doesn't work, but I try it. But she's like, I've talked to my mom about it a couple times about stress levels, and she's like, it doesn't get better, but it doesn't get worse. Mm-hmm. She goes, if you can handle your 30s, it doesn't change when you get even older. She goes, the only thing that's going to change is your stress level is going to go up when you have kids, because then you have another life to worry about, and you want to make sure you're doing great for them. Understandable. That's expected. Failing an exam is something that I did on my own terms, and I stressed out. You know, being put on academic probation is your own fault. And it is, but at the same time, those types of stresses could have been avoided. And I feel like these kids coming out now, I'm scared for the future for them, but I'm also scared for the future of my generation.
Yeah.
Because I see these kids that are just enamored by bullying, online bullying, things like that. I mean, I have a 12-year-old cousin that takes karate and taekwondo. He got in trouble because a kid was bullying him, so he punched him. Mm-hmm. He got in trouble. When I was in high school, that's what you did.
Yeah.
Like, the expectation was different. The world was built different at that point in time. But these kids that are coming up, they're going to deal with more stressful situations in their lifetime, because I feel like the world now is a different expectation of how to handle things. They want you to handle things with words and conversations, and that is one way to handle it. But what do you do when that doesn't work? Yeah. And that's what is eliminated with this next generation. My little cousin is petrified to push somebody that shoves him. Yeah. You know, and I said, have you ever heard of the phrase, when push comes to shove? Someone pushes you, you push back, you defend yourself. Mm-hmm. But kids now are afraid to defend themselves because there's so many repercussions.
Yeah.
And I feel like that generation is going to be going through so many more stressful situations than what we did.
Yeah.
I mean, our biggest stressful situation was, how are we going to get alcohol at this party?
Yeah.
Now you don't have to.
No.
Yeah, it's more readily available and to do things. Or how can we, how am I going to impress this girl? How am I going to do this? Not only are they going to have those same stresses, but if you're at a party, like we were just talking, we were at a party that I threw. I got in a fight at the party that I threw.
Mm-hmm.
These kids aren't going to be able to handle that situation because it's a complete different surrounding of repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, me and that boy got in a fight. We beat the crap out of each other. Neither one of us pressed charges. Neither one of us did anything. We had a mutual respect for each other after that, and all was said and done. Now, if you lay a hand on somebody, you're getting charged, and then you have a record.
Mm-hmm.
And
or killed.
Yeah, or killed. I mean, people right now, the violence in this world is insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember fights every other day at Allegheny.
Yeah.
I remember the Chinese delivery driver getting robbed on campus.
Yes.
I remember fighting.
Yes.
I remember, anything and everything that happened up there.
Mm-hmm.
And there were no repercussions.
Nope.
And now there are.
Mm-hmm.
And people are in like this next generation. I feel like when they're our age, they are not going to be okay. Like us now, yeah, we're in panic mode. We're still healing. We're still hurt from things. But I feel like what is going to be our 35 is going to happen with this next generation at 45.
Yeah.
And it's going to be too late.
Yeah.
That's my concern. I feel like it's a ticking time bomb with everybody. But age definitely plays a factor. It has to. There's too much emotion when you're 18 because you're not grown. You think you are, but you're not grown. You don't understand the world. Your body is still changing until you're in your 30s. And then it starts changing for the worse sometimes. You are still learning about yourself till you're 25, 30, 35 sometimes. You still got to learn who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. And that's where that kind of, where this next generation is just in trouble. I mean, I have nothing against identity and non-binary or transgender. I have no problem with that. I really don't. But the thing is, I want that generation to make sure that's who they are.
Yeah.
So that they're not in their 30s wondering who they are still.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want them to be comfortable with themselves whenever they're 30 years old so that they can be like us and sit down and just have the conversations like we've had today and work our life out, work our stress out. Mm-hmm. That's my hope. I don't discriminate if you're not, if you're transgender, if you're gay, if you're bisexual, if you're anything. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. I mean, you've known me long enough. I mean, I treated everybody equal.
You did.
If I did not like you, I didn't like you for who you were, not what you were.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of life. I mean, I just feel like with all of that being at the forefront of everything, that on top of the normal 18 to 30-year-old stress levels, I feel like suicide rates are going to go skyrocketing more than what they already are because of that. And then you've got bullying to add in. I used to bully the bullies. You have to stand up to them.
Yeah.
But now you can't. So you're just layering more mental issues and more trauma on people and expecting them to figure it out with less help.
I was talking about this with a coworker, and we were kind of both saying how being mean is the new normal now. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what this generation is of kids. And, being a good person honestly doesn't matter anymore.
Is in
nowadays.
The minority. That's in the minority now. Being a good person is something that isn't common. I mean, if I was a mean person when I was 11, 12 years old, I'd have got my ass beat until I was good.
Yeah.
And it taught me a lesson. And it taught me a lesson about how to be with people.
Yeah.
I mean, like we've talked before, I grew up in an all-white area. Mm-hmm. When I went to college, I was the only white boy in my building. Mm-hmm. And it's just like I was so comfortable. It didn't matter because I knew people, good people and bad people. It's not a race thing. It's not a sex thing. It's not a discriminatory thing. It is a life thing.
Yeah.
You know, best friends, whatever, doesn't matter to me. You can be white, black, Asian, you know, Indian. It does not matter. It's good people you surround yourself with. And that good people you surround yourself with will protect you when you're not there. Because if someone talks shit behind your back, they will stand up for you when you're not there. And that's something that I've always been big on because, I mean, we knew a lot of people. A lot of people talk shit about Johnny. A lot of people talk shit about EJ, me, you, everybody. They didn't like us. But not once would they say it to our faces. No. And they wouldn't say it around any of us. You know, it's just the way it was. It's the respect. I think it's a respect issue at this point in time with this generation that I feel like they need a new level of respect. They need to understand respect because I don't think they understand it. No. It's I want it now. It's my
entitlement.
Entitlement, yeah, it's very much self-entitlement.
I feel like our generation, we kind of have the knowledge of having the resources, but I feel like, and we're open to having those resources. Yes. We're open to having conversations. We're open to admitting we need a therapist. We're open to admitting we have certain issues, but it's like the younger generation, I feel like, will not admit that. And I think I agree. They're gonna go crazy at some point.
And I feel like the reason for that is because they see 7 other people with that same issue and they think it's normal.
Yes. I've learned when you grow up with chaos, you become immune to it. You think it's normal.
It's normal, yeah. If you grew up, and I feel like, and this is something that is kind of odd because I have friends on both ends of this. I have a friend who is now a physical abuser. He made some mistakes and, you know, I don't talk to him anymore, but he's in jail. And I have a friend who was abused. Their families, their fathers grew up abusing their mothers. And they grew up seeing abuse and believed that it's normal and that's a way to show love. That's a way to show that you care.
That's all that they know.
Yeah, that's all that they know.
Yeah.
Just like you can grow up like you said before, as an adoptee, sometimes you grow up and all you know is rejection or you feel rejection because of that. Yeah. It's the same aspect of you honestly don't know what life really is. I mean, if you grow up in an abusing home, that's what you know.
Yeah.
You're going to revert to that because you think that's normal to show affection, and it's not. Or rejection is normal, or, you know, these things are normal, and the normalcy is not normal. Like there's so many things out there. There's so many variables at this point in time that it's so crazy, and it's amazing to see our generation where, I mean, I know I didn't listen as a kid all the time. I got my butt beat. It happened. But the same things I did as a kid now, they're medicating these kids and telling them that they have ADHD and ADD and this and that and everything else. And they're not testing them. They're not. I feel like if a kid is angry or if a kid is, you know, overreactive to stuff, or if he's finicky, I feel like everybody just automatically assumes, oh, he has ADHD or ADD, things like that. But if you notice the spike and the increase in that lately is unbelievable. I mean, for us, it was like 1 in every 100 people. Now it's like 1 in every 10. It's unbelievable what's going on, and I don't understand it. I mean, there's people being medicated for stuff that they probably shouldn't be medicated for. There's people suffering from self-medication because self-medication usually is more harmful than anything else. It's unbelievable to see. And that's another big fear, because that's a stress, because now these kids are like, well, I have ADHD. It's normal. It's not normal.
No.
It's not. But at the same time, you can train your brain to see things differently. It's what they're surrounded by and what they're brought up with that makes the big difference.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's also scary to see the difference from 18 to 30. And I think we're realizing the difference, and parts of it is good, but parts of it is scary. But then I feel like it also shows how much you have to have a support system.
Yes.
And even if that means reconnecting with old friends, and also being picky about who you're letting back in your life and who you're choosing to give back to. Because I can admit, like, as a good person, it's like I was giving all my, time and energy to the wrong people. But now that I'm at an age where I'm kind of like, okay, I have to take accountability and, not appreciating the ones that are pouring into me. And I feel like now it's time that I focus more on the people that are really there for me and are pouring into me. And yes, that means my circle is a little bit smaller, but that's okay. But I think it's also you notice a difference in your mental state and your feelings when you just give back the same energy that's being given back to you, and you're giving time to the people that are appreciating you. And that takes a long time to realize, I feel like.
It takes a long time to refine that circle.
Exactly.
Because you can start with 100 people and wind up with 4.
Exactly.
And I listen to a lot of podcasts and things like that, and I listen to a lot of comedians. Joey Diaz is one of my favorites. And he said one thing, he goes, I don't need 100 people. He goes, I need 3 motherfuckers and I can take over whatever I need to take over. If you have 3 people that you can trust, you have to have someone you can confide in and trust that they're not going to say anything. You got to have someone that's going to have your back 100%, because that person you confide in may not have your back every time. And then you've got to have someone who's always down to do something stupid.
Yes.
Whether it's, hey, today's Tuesday, we're both off. Let's go to New York. Like, let's go up and see Jasmine. I still talk to Jasmine. Let's go see Jasmine. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Let's go to Niagara Falls for a day. Or I look at Chelsea every once in a while. I'm like we had a beach trip coming up that we ended up canceling because of all the stuff with our house that we're fixing up. And I may just look at her during that week and be like, hey, we have off. Let's leave at 4 a.m, drive to Ocean City, take the dogs, take them to the beach, enjoy the day, take them on the boardwalk, weed at the boardwalk, and we'll drive home that night. You've always got to have that person, and mine, luckily, is my wife. She's not only my best friend, but she's my wife. And that's what makes my bond with her so great. It also makes it the hardest thing in the world to describe.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love her as my wife, I love her just as much as my best friend. And she understands, I hope she understands, that there are days where you may be my best friend and I love you, but as my wife, you need to just leave me be. Be there as my best friend. My wife, yes, you are my wife. I love you, but I need you to be my best friend at this point in time.
Yes.
Not my wife. And I think she's gaining that aspect.
Okay.
But that is the best aspect and way that I can describe what the perfect partner for someone is. There's 3 things: best friend, wife, partner in crime. She's down to do anything, anytime, anywhere. If I look at her, if I get home today and I'm like, let's just go for a drive, we'll load up and go. She doesn't hesitate. She doesn't want to hesitate anything. She's ready to go. She always wants to go for an adventure or go to just get away. So that is the most important thing. And that's what makes a good person to spend your life with for me. Because I may come home on a Monday night from work and walk in the house and just want to bang my head against the wall. And I walk in, and the first thing I do every night when I walk in is give her a hug and I greet the dogs. The 3 best things in my life. And that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Whether we're arguing, fighting, or anything like that, it does not matter. The moment I see her, I know it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm at in my life with her. And I've never been able to say that about anybody else in my life. And you've known me long enough to know that that's the God's honest truth, that I am not, it's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And people have a hard time finding that in people. And
It's hard, especially nowadays.
It is.
It's very hard.
And it's just gonna get harder.
Mm-hmm.
Because the generation that's coming up now is not commitment wise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just nuts.
No.
People are so scared to be in relationships and be in commitments.
Woo, that's a topic we can do for another video.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I mean, because people are scared.
Yeah.
Because people are afraid to commit to something. I mean, people are having issues, and I feel like this is more than just a relationship thing. People are afraid to commit to a 30-year mortgage for a house. People are afraid to commit to a 7-year or 6-year loan on a car.
Yeah.
People, and what they do is they settle for less.
Yeah.
And they're unhappy. Mm-hmm. And that puts so much stress on your mental health and on your mental capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get hurt. And then when you get hurt, you're in a rebuild process every time. It is a vicious cycle. Mm-hmm. I was like that. I did not want to get married. But after a year of being with Chelsea, I knew I had to. There was no way in my life I was not going to marry her. So, that's a whole nother topic.
Yes, we will definitely do an episode on that, because I feel like the younger generation, and even like in our generation, mm-hmm. they need to hear from like our perspective of that.
But my thing is, I don't understand where in life that changes.
I'm still trying to understand what happened, what caused like the big shift. Well, because that's what happened. It just out of nowhere, just everything switched, mm-hmm. everything changed.
The reason I say that is because my little cousin, who's 12, has a girlfriend. Mm. He does his chores at his house and gets his allowance, and he spends his allowance on his girlfriend. He asks her parents if they can go to the movies, and he goes with his dad, and they go and he buys her popcorn, or he'll buy the movie tickets and all that, and he takes her out and does that kind of stuff. Him and his girlfriend have been together now for 4 months. Aww. I know full-grown adults that can't have a 4-month relationship.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part. I don't understand where in life that switches from being wholesome and actually enjoying someone's company like he does. Mm-hmm. He took her to the Sadie Hawkins Day dance, or she took him to the Sadie Hawkins Day dance. They go to these dances and stuff. They go out to like carnivals and all this stuff. He just wants to be around her. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's the best way to be. You know, I feel like for an adult, adults can learn something from a 12-year-old kid every once in a while.
I think what it is, and like I'm saying this in every episode so that people can like plant it in their heads. I feel like society is pushing everybody to be alone.
Yeah.
Because if you're not healed, you're not lovable.
Not only that, if you're alone, you can't unite with other people.
Exactly.
And when you unite with other people, just like whenever all these riots and things were happening, and they were race wars. Mm-hmm. If you can divide the races, then you can conquer the world. Mm-hmm. Because it makes there's no formidable enemy. Yeah. But at the same time, if the races are together, or 2 groups or 3 people or 4 people are together, they become harder to take over or to capture. And that's the same aspect, divide and conquer. Mm-hmm. And it's the way of the world. You divide a nation, you conquer it. I mean, our government does it all the time. Yeah. The Republicans and Democrats do that. Mm-hmm. They divide your vote. Yes. And whoever wins conquers.
Exactly.
That's all it is. It's whoever can switch at that time. But it's so much deeper than that. Because there's something in your brain that just says, I want to be around this person all the time. And then this generation now is like, well, I want to be around this person for the next, 3 hours while we have sex. I'm going to take her out. We're going to go on a date. We're going to go home. We're going to have sex. I don't want to be with her anymore. I don't get it. I don't. But then again, 18-year-old me, that was the mindset.
Yeah.
I was not, after heartbreak. And I think that might be the deciding factor. When someone gets their heart broken, I think that may be that change that we're looking for. That may be what it is. Because when Marley and I broke up, I was bad with alcohol and just I wanted to fight everybody that was around me. I tried to fight Johnny. I tried to fight EJ. I wanted to listen to nobody. But it's one of those things that I feel like that might be the part that we're missing, is people don't look into that initial heartbreak enough, because that can scar you for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it scarred me from 18 to 28. So, 10 years, 20 years. I mean, it's...
I have a really tough question for you.
Yeah.
If you did not get COVID, how do you think your life would have been? So, if you didn't have COVID and Chelsea was not in your life, what do you think your life would be like right now?
You wouldn't be around me.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with that. You wouldn't be around me because Chelsea recentered me. So the person you knew at college was not the person I was because of everything that I had been through. Chelsea found a way to recenter me, and I think it's her personality that just centers me to where I am and who I am. Without her, I would probably be, I'll be honest with you, I'd probably be dead. And not from suicide or anything like that, but I'd be dead from alcohol.
Okay.
Or just a bad decision. I would fight somebody shoot me. It's just that I was the person that goes to the bars with my friends and someone says something and I'm going to say something and it's going to be that way. But honestly, if it was not for Chelsea and just Chelsea alone, I would probably be dead. Without Chelsea in my life, I may not have seen the point where I got COVID. Because the point where I got COVID is what changed my mindset of how I want to spend my life with Chelsea. Not if, but how. So Chelsea and I, we had a great relationship before, but we were kind of at a stuck point where we didn't move forward. After I got out of COVID, we were building towards something more, and I'm more like, I'll be like, let's go away for a weekend. Let's go do this. And I told my boss, I was like, I'm going to take a weekend and just spend it with my wife. That's it. I'll work Saturdays if I need to for extra money. I will do it. Just whatever I got to do. So if it got to it, I think I said, I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't. If without Chelsea, I probably wouldn't have saw 33, 32, 33. Because my alcohol abuse was bad. And like I said, when my grandmother passed, that triggered it. For that month between when my grandmother passed to me and Chelsea getting together, even about a week and a half, 2 weeks into me and Chelsea being together, that was a transition period of getting away from alcohol to try to feel like I had issues. But like Chelsea showed up at the house one day and there's just bottles of alcohol in my house. And she's like, what are all these from? I was like, well, I drank a little bit each day, whatever, and like nothing major, but I was being dumb at the time and I was drinking and was driving, and I don't do that anymore. I don't drink much anymore. When I do drink, she drives. If she drinks, I drive, vice versa. But if I have one drink, I will not drive. I don't care how long it's been. I'm cautious. I had a couple friends of mine when I was 26. We went out to a bar. We all left the bar at the same time. I'm the only person who made it home. They both were in a car accident together and got killed. They were drunk. So that kind of changed my whole lifestyle of how I wanted to react to it. So burying two of my friends from knowing I set up going to eat with them, and then we all got drunk and drove home, and I drove in a separate vehicle. They were roommates at the time.
Oh,
so
wow.
Like that kind of stuff, it wears on you. It changes your whole mindset and your whole outlook on life. I mean, it's scary because it was just, I was like 20 minutes ago, I was with them and I got a call an hour later and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't supposed to happen.
No.
So that's why I say that. I was making bad decisions. I was working full time and I had some money in my pocket and I was just like, oh, I'm just going to blow my money on whatever I can. And I mean, that's exactly what I did. I just blew money and just created bad feelings for myself.
Why do you think as men it's harder for them to express their feelings and open up and admit that they have battles that they had to heal from? Because obviously with you, like, you're very open about sharing what you've been through and wanting to share it, but I feel like the stigma of men not opening up is also causing the younger generation to not speak up as well. And
you said it right. There's a stigma, but the stigma is the man has to be the backbone and can't show his emotions because it shows weakness. One guy to another guy opening up can show weakness, and once, like, I've had it happen. I've opened up to people before, and they've stabbed me in the back with the things that I opened up to them about. So when you do that, they took that weakness, what they thought was weakness, and tried to use it against me. And it's one of those things that's just, I feel like men don't feel that they can talk about their emotions or their feelings because they feel weak, because that's what the world wants them to feel. Where really it's empowering. I feel better every day when I talk about stuff like the hallucinations I had at college, when I had COVID. I just feel better every day I talk about that. And I feel like most men don't want to talk about issues because they get that sense of feeling like someone's going to use it against them or someone's going to take it as weakness instead of a strength. Not realizing that whenever you talk, whether it's with you or a counselor or my wife or my mother or anybody or even my friends, we all have that's that circle you talk about. If you need to be able to talk at least in that circle to make you feel better. But that stigma that you are weak is only exactly that. It's a stigma. It's not true. People, like I said, it's just a matter of feeling weak. Men are depicted as, they have to be the strong one. They have to be the courageous one. They have to be the backbone. And that's not the way it is anymore. I mean, I know plenty of women that are the most empowered women that I've ever met in my life. My mother has been the backbone of everything she's ever done. She is the most courageous woman that I've ever met in my life. She dealt with my ass for 35 years so far and has not given up. So the things that she's done, as hard as she's worked and everything, I know men that won't do that, that feel self-entitled. But men that need to speak, and the people that are self-entitled have no problem talking about themselves because that's what their world revolves around. But you'll notice the men that are afraid to speak out are the men that are usually good. The men that are usually more relationship material a lot of times because they try to hold their emotion along with your emotion because they don't want to feel weak. They want you to feel empowered too. Now, there are cases where that's not the case, but 90% of the men that I know won't speak about their emotions unless it's to another male that they've known for a long time. Kevin and I can sit down and have a conversation and it's like it's never ended. We've talked about his drug addiction, we've talked about my alcohol, we've talked about us fighting, we talked about our families, we talked about everything. There is not a single aspect of that man's life that I do not have in the back of my head as a kept secret because he's my best friend and I will go to war for him. Same with EJ. Davon and I don't talk as much as we used to. We still do. And I still, if he ever needed anything, I'd be there in a heartbeat. Those are the people that I will talk to. It's all about finding that person or people that you can express yourself to that's not going to use it against you. As a male, it's just, you know, it's really weird because, you know, Chris Rock said it. What was it, in The Longest Yard? What do you have to be depressed for? You're white. And there was a stigma around that too, because mostly depression affects white males more than black males, but black males deal with anxiety more than white males. There's a stigma there as well that, and it's not, it's a male thing, regardless. The race is completely irrelevant, but there's so many stigmas towards white males, towards black males, towards Asian males. There's so many stigmas towards them that why would we open up sometimes? Because that just shows that people are going to take it as a weakness and attack you, and it hurts you more. Then you don't want to open up again. Part of the battle is like, you have to find a way. It's not if, but it's when. Because either you're going to open up or you're going to be overwhelmed. When you're overwhelmed, you resort to drugs, alcohol, suicide, abuse, crime, you know, and I feel like that's a big portion of it. Like you're gonna, because drugs and alcohol are already gonna put you in crime, and there's a good chance, like there's been times where I've been drunk enough that I could have done something and I never would have known. So it's finding that person or people that aren't going to use it against you. I feel like that's the key right now for men and women, because women talk so much shit behind each other's backs.
We do.
And the funny thing is you know what, you can walk into my house and I'll talk shit to my friends. Like you could be best friends with 5 other females and 4 of them will talk behind your back. But if you put me and my 5 friends in a room together, I'll talk shit to them face to face, but when they leave the room, I will have their backs 100% if they're not there. Women and men are very different with that.
They are.
So males, just, it's finding that comfort, finding that person and the people that you can confide in that are not going to use that against you. Because if you're a male and you come out and you say, I'm super upset about this is bothering me, and just talking about things, if you say it to the wrong person, someone's going to be like, oh, well, this guy's a pussy. This guy's this guy's that. And they're going to use it against you at some point. And it's happened to me. It happened to me at college. And I ended up having to fight because of it. I had to react to it. You know, it's just the way people are.
Well, I really enjoyed this episode, this interview. I'm so happy I got to see you.
And it's nice that you get to take my podcast cherry here. I've never done this before, you know. And I've said to Chelsea for years that I've wanted to start a podcast, and I've never done it. But I just like to talk to people, and I like helping people any way I can. That's
one thing that I love about you, Coach Stern, and you've always been that way. From the moment I met you in college, and now you always look out for everyone, and the fact that you always have that concern for everyone, that's hard to find.
I'd rather shield everybody from the bad and have them enjoy life. You know, I'd rather take the brunt of the brunt impact of it than someone else, because I feel like mentally I can handle a little more with everything I've been through. So I feel like I can take that impact where other people can't fully take it or handle it as well as I could.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
And guys, definitely stay tuned, because we gonna have another episode talking about relationships, marriage, and all of that, because it looks like we have like very similar perspectives, but also debatable perspectives. So I definitely am gonna put that episode together. And this wraps up this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next episode. You want to say goodbye, Cody?
Thank you guys. Thanks.